Great morning, superstars. How is everyone out there this morning? This is your girl, Taria Hodge, bringing you another fantastic episode of Social Media Saturdays. So, if you are out there and you could see me and you could hear me, do me a favor. Just drop a comment into the comment section and let me know, Taria, I could see you. Taria, I could hear you. And we are going to get this party bus started. And first of all, before we begin, let me just say happy Easter weekend to everyone. And so I hope that you are planning to get some rest. You're planning to do some pretty cool things with yourself and your family over the Easter weekend holiday. So happy Easter weekend for you, and make sure that you have a great weekend. And I see that Robin is out there with me this morning. Great morning, Robin. How are you? Thank you so much for tuning in and joining. Okay, I got it, babe. Oh, thank you. All right. Great morning, Patricia. Thank you so much for tuning in to Social Media Saturdays. And Patricia is saying, you look beautiful. I look stunning. Thank you so much, Patricia. I know I got the little shoulders out today. So I am in a wonderful, wonderful mood. Okay. And so, yeah, I am super excited to have this conversation today on Social Media Saturday. So we are going to get this party bus started. And today we are talking about how to increase your influence into the marketplace and how to increase your influence on social media. So there's a couple of questions, okay, that I get around this topic all the time. And so one of the questions that I get is, Taria, should I be developing my personal brand on social media? So if that's you and you have ever asked yourself that question, okay, do I need to have a personal brand on social media? I want you to go ahead and drop a 1 into the comment section and let me know, okay? Or this is for you if you have ever asked yourself the question, what is it that you want to be known for? Okay, and I see that Suzanne Hart is out there this morning. Great morning, Suzanne. And I see my coach Tawana is out there this morning. Great morning, ladies. Welcome, 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 welcome. And I see that Patricia is putting a 1. And so, Patricia, yeah, it's a very big question, right? And we're going to talk a little bit about that today. Okay. So should you be developing your personal brand on social media? So if you're on here today and you're wondering, this episode is for you if you are a coach or a consultant and you know that you are called to be more and you know that you are called to do more. Okay. And so some of the questions that I get, around this topic all the time is, oh my gosh, what should I be posting on social media? Content is always a big question. Should I be doing videos? What type of content do I need to produce inside of the marketplace? So while we're on today, we're going to answer 3 big questions. Okay. So the 3 big questions that we are going to tackle today is, number 1, why do you need a personal brand on social media? Okay. And for those of you who may be even asking, well, Taria, I've heard the term, but I don't exactly know what a personal brand is. Okay. So if you have asked yourself questions around that, we're going to talk about that today. And then we're also going to talk about what type of content you should be creating in your business. Okay. And then we're also going to talk about the biggest misconception about influence in the marketplace. So I hear a lot of things about the word influence being tossed around into the marketplace, and I hear the term influencer all the time. But exactly what does that mean? Okay. All right. So as you join in the broadcast, do me a favor. I want you to put in the comment section where you are watching from. Okay. So just drop a comment. Let me know where you are watching from. So if you are watching from the US, please let me know what city and state you are hailing from this morning. And if you are watching internationally, what country are you watching from? Okay. So I see that Susanna is out here, and I know that she's in Canada. So thank you for joining us. If you are tuning in from one of our wonderful island nations. Guys, I'm still in the Caribbean. Okay, so if you're tuning in from one of our island nations, go ahead and just let me know which island you are watching from. Okay, and then also one of the things that I absolutely love to see that happens here on Social Media Saturdays is the virtual networking. Okay, so please let us know who you serve in your business and how you serve in your business and how we can connect with you. Okay, so take a minute to share who you serve in your business, how you serve in your business, and how we can connect. And we could connect with you on social. So if you have a Facebook business page or any other type of social media platform that you prefer, please drop the link into the comment section. And if you don't, please drop the link to your website. Now, one of the reasons why I ask people to do this, I ask my superstars to do this every episode, is because we have a lot of virtual networking that happens. It happens on the live video, and it also happens into our community as well. Okay, so we won't know who you serve and how you serve unless you tell us. So make sure you take a minute to do so. And then lastly, please take a minute to share this broadcast with another, entrepreneur or another business owner that you know. Okay, so if you found that this is a topic that interests you, you have some questions around here, maybe you've been in discussion with it with colleagues, maybe you've been in discussion with it with your clients, take a minute to share it out to your community. Okay, and I see that Anila is out there, and Anila is joining from Miami, Florida. Thank you so much, Anila, for jumping in and joining us. And Patricia is watching from Ottawa, Canada. Thank you so much, Patricia. Ladies, don't forget to put who you serve and how you serve in the chat, right? And Anila is saying, awesome serving, Taria, always caring so much for your superstars and connecting. Anila, that's what it is really all about, okay? So who am I? Okay, so if you are happening upon this video for the very first time, and maybe you're scrolling through your timeline and you want to know who's this lady and what she's talking about, welcome to Serve, Share, Shine. And today is Social Media Saturdays. Okay, and each week what I do on Social Media Saturdays is I share real social media strategies to fuel your business. And I'm Taria Hodge, your social media strategist, and I am stepping from behind the scenes to empower you to get your authentic and vulnerable message into the marketplace. Okay, and so before we actually get in to the depth of our conversation today, which we're talking about how to increase your influence in the marketplace, one of the things that I wanted to share with my superstars, and I know you guys have been seeing little changes over the course of probably the past few weeks. Okay, and so what I've actually been doing is going through a rebranding process, okay, here at Social Media Saturdays. So one of the things that you may have noticed is that I've actually changed the name of our community. So the community, and I don't know how many of you search for it as Social Media Saturdays. So the name of the community used to be Social Media Saturdays. Now I've rebranded the community to be Serve, Share, Shine, the Givers Community. Okay, and the reason why I am doing that is because I wanted to change the focus of the community, a little bit more. Not really change the focus, because I think it's things that we've been doing all along, but I just wanted to hone in on the focus of the community. And I want it to be a place where we could all come in and we could all share. So as entrepreneurs, as thought leaders, we have things that we do in our business, right? And I know each of us has a desire, to share and a desire to help others shine. Okay. And so one of the things that I looked at with the community, I really want it to be a space where people can show up Okay, not only to get value from myself, but members as well. And then for those of you who love to share, right, a place for you to share your value as well. Now, I'm going to say this is not a community now where you come in and you drop and you post your links and all of your marketing stuff, right? That is not what we are all about. Okay, so we are about truly serving. So as you share things in your business, and the things or ways that you could serve, always think about how you're providing value. Okay, and providing value isn't just dropping into the group and dropping a link and say, hey, I have this going on, and then leaving. Okay, so how do you serve? So that's my thing. I'm calling on my superstars to serve more. Okay, and I see that Patricia is saying, I am an author, mentor, and mindset integrity coach, and here to serve rockstar. Oh, and here to serve rock stars, overachievers who want to transform their mindset and ready to commit to their greatness. Awesome, 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 Patricia. Thank you for putting that into the comment. And I see that Suzanne is out here. And then Suzanne says she serves leaders who have a desire to be unstoppable. She provides breakthrough strategies to help you reset your thinking so you could wake up every day filled with passion and purpose. I love it, Suzanne. Thank you so much for dropping that into the comment section. Okay. All right. Thank you. And then one more thing. So I could address everyone appropriately this morning. I see someone that just popped in and they said, hi, ladies, but it just says Facebook user. So if you could go ahead and type your name into the comment section and let me know who you are, then I'll be able to address you appropriately with your comments. Okay. Okay. So let's go ahead and, like I said, get this party bus rolling today. I'm very excited to have this conversation. And this conversation is one that's, very dear, to me. And it's something, like I said, over the past couple of months that have been actually, tugging at my heart, actually more than months. I have to say probably a little over a year. Okay. And so what I wanted to share or start off sharing today was a little bit about my journey with Social Media Saturdays. And so if you are one of my superstars who are on here today, who have been with me from the beginning. So this is, we're going into the 5th year now, I think, with Social Media Saturdays. Okay. And one of the things that I share when it comes to Social Media Saturdays, Social Media Saturdays, did not start off as the platform that you see today. Okay. So it was actually created as for a way for me to provide behind the scenes support for clients who wanted to do more in the way of video for their business. Okay. And so I started Social Media Saturdays about 5 years ago because I truly had a desire to understand how webinars work. So if you don't know, when we first started out, Social Media Saturdays was a webinar platform. Okay. And so I decided to start Social Media Saturdays so I could understand the technical or the technicalities of what it took to produce a webinar. Okay. And then eventually what happened is that live video, came on the scene. So we transitioned from webinars over to Periscope and then eventually over to Facebook Live. So 5 years later, guys, here we are. And I have to say, something beautiful has happened along the journey. And the beautiful thing that has happened, on this journey is that I too realize that I'm called to do more and I'm called to serve more. Okay. So I'm called to do more and I'm called to serve more. And I have to say that, coming to that realization didn't come without challenges. Okay. And so some of the questions that I had myself was, should I develop a personal brand on social media? Okay. And how this showed up for me is that one of the things, hi, Maria, I see your name now. So one of the things that when I started Social Media Saturdays, And I looked at how I created the brand. It was all about giving the information. Okay. And so as I take a look at the branding, right, one of the things that I didn't have like my picture up there. I had a picture of the logo, and even the content that I shared, right, the content was content that was branded for social media Saturdays. Okay. And one of the things that have been tugging, at me for, like I said, for the past year or so is that, what, Taria, really and truly, how are you showing up in the marketplace? And so one of the questions that I started to ask myself is, right, how do I allow more of Taria to show through the brand? So one of the things that I talk about here is hiding out behind the scenes, right? And so I found, or I realized that I was hiding, behind my logo. So how many of you out there, sometimes find yourself hiding behind your logo, or you're hiding behind your branding and marketing material? Okay. And so if that's you, okay, you don't necessarily have to put a comment into the comment section, but I want you to start to consider that. Like, how do you show up on social media, right? So when you show up on social media, is it, your branding material, whether it's your logo, your branding graphics, or do you give your audience the opportunity to see the authentic you? Okay. And so that's what we're going to talk a little bit about today. We're going to unpack that. Okay. And so I had to also ask myself the question, what is it, Taria, at the end of the day? What is it that you want to be known for? And so that's the question that I'm also going to ask my superstars this morning. What is it that you want to be known for? Okay. And as I unpacked this question over the past year or so, I realized that I wanted to be known, or I want to be known to help others show up and serve. Okay. I want to help, or I want to be known to help other entrepreneurs, other coaches, thought leaders show up and shine by getting their authentic message into the marketplace. Okay. And as I came to that realization, one of the beautiful things that came out of it, was the rebrand of Serve, Share, Shine. Okay. And so, as like I said, as you guys go through the next couple of days, you're going to start to see a little bit more update on that, because that's what it's really all about for me. How do you show up and serve? How do you serve, share, shine? Okay. And many of you know, if you're following social media Saturdays, when I talk about shine, I talk about 5 specific things. I talk about showing up powerfully and consistently. I talk about honing in on your audience, honing in on how you're called to serve, and honing in on who you're called to serve, and what are your unique gifts into the marketplace. Okay. And then I also talk about creating an impact and influence around your brand, how to nurture and build relationships. And then finally, last but definitely not least, how to create an experiential brand, how to create that brand experience. Okay. So those are the 5 things. When you hear me talk about shine, okay, those are the things that I mean specifically. Okay. And so one of the things that we're going to start off, and as we go through our talk today, please utilize the comment section and just let me know, what are some of the thoughts that you have, what are some of the things that I might share today that lands for you. If you've had questions, just go ahead and drop that into the comment section as well. Okay. And so the first question that I'm going to start to unpack is, why do you need to have a personal brand? Okay. And like I said, when I stepped onto this journey, I was one of those entrepreneurs, that thought that branding, I'm totally honest and transparent. I thought branding was all about the marketing materials. And so I spent a lot of time, in the way of making sure things look good. Okay. Like when you put out, stuff out there, you're doing a promotion, your marketing graphics are on point. Do you have headshots? Do your colors match and everything, right? Can people be able to identify your company by the visual aspects of your company? And literally, I thought that that's what branding was all about. Okay. And then fast forward, continuing onto the journey, I realized that branding is so much more than that. Branding is so much deeper than that. Now, I'm just going to say this. I'm not here saying that you don't need, to have a headshot. So I work in the space where we do produce visual aids, for clients, right? Marketing material, branding materials, and all of that. That's part of what I do in my business. So those things are important. So you should have a professional headshot. You should be, taking a look at when people encounter your brand, all of the assets that you produce, show up in a very powerful way. It's clean, it looks good, and people could recognize your brand from afar. Okay. So I'm not saying that you should not have those things. Absolutely, you need to have those things. Okay. But what's most important when it comes to the branding is the personal branding. Okay. And then when I talk about personal branding, I can't talk about personal branding without talking about your like, know, and trust factor. So the question becomes, how do you build your like, know, and trust factor into the marketplace? Okay. And so if any of you have ever, ask yourself that question, I want you to just go ahead and let me know, right? Taria, how do you build your like, no one trust factor into the marketplace? And I see that Raouf is out there this morning. Great morning, Raouf. Oh my God, it's been so long. Thank you so much for jumping on and joining. And I see that Barbara is out there. Great morning, Barbara. Then we have, I do believe, who is it? I think it's Maria. Okay. So Maria is saying branding is the promise. Absolutely, Maria. Branding is the promise. Okay. So Peg is saying branding is about recognition so that people can recognize who you are and what you do and how you serve. I love it. I love it. I love it, Peg. Thank you for putting that in there, right? And Suzanne is echoing the sentiment like, know, and trust, right? So the like, know, and trust factor. And so if you're anything like me, right? I know you've probably heard people talking about the like, know, and trust factor, but the question becomes, how do you build your like, know, and trust factor? Okay, so exactly what is the like, know, and trust factor? And how does the like, know, and trust factor, show up on social media? Okay, and so here's the first thing that I'm going to unpack for you, right? So let's take a minute to break down the like. Okay, so the like, what does it really mean for your audience to like you? Who wants to, take a stab at that, right? What does it really mean for your audience to like you? Okay, and I'm checking out all of my comments. Great morning, Mr. Murray. How are you? Thank you so much for jumping on and joining. Okay, now when it comes to the like factor in the like, know, and trust, okay, all it is that your audience must have a connection with you. Okay, and so are you building, are you creating the opportunities, for your audience to connect with you? Okay, and so when I say connection, one of the biggest things, I can't talk about connection unless I unpack, okay, like the big word, value. Okay, so are is your audience able to connect with you through values? So Does your audience have the opportunity to see the things, okay, that you value and you hold dear? Okay, so how often do you put that out into the marketplace? Okay, so that's the first thing, the value. People connect when they have a value alignment, when their values match. Okay, so how well do you share your value through your social media content? The second thing, that when it comes to building the like factor, okay, how well do you inspire others to see things differently? Okay. And so you remember we're talking about how to build influence into the marketplace and how to create influence on social media, right? So, how well do you inspire? Your audience, to see things differently or to see things in a different light. And one of the things that I love, oh my gosh, I love the word thought leader. And I do believe each of us on this call today, is a thought leader. And I was actually having this conversation this week. And one of the things that's required in being a thought leader is courage. Okay. And so do you have the courage, okay, to show up, okay, and inspire others to think different? Okay. And so as a social media strategist, I see a lot of things, okay, in the space of marketing. Okay. I too myself on the journey have had a lot of questions. I too on the journey have had a lot of challenges. I've had my bumps, I've had my bruises and everything, right? But I've also had my learns. And so one of the things that I think about is, what? How do I share my learns? Okay. And so do I just go along with the popular opinion in the marketplace, or do I show up and have the courage, okay, to be a thought leader and share, okay, the things that I've learned, or share a different perspective? Okay. And so once again, those are the things that really endear, the people who you are called to serve, to you. So do you inspire them to do things in a different way? Okay. And then also, once again, when it comes to the like, know, and trust factor, is your brand a relatable brand? Okay. So as you show up in the marketplace, how well, are people relating to your brand? How well are you relating to others? Okay. And then Anila is saying, I love that. How do I share my learns? Okay. And so Maria is out there saying, I believe this is you, Maria. Burger King, have it your way. Having it like I want it is important to me, and it's important to Burger King. There is a brand alignment with my values. Oh my gosh, Maria, this is so true, and it is so key. And I think it's one of the biggest shifts that I've experienced in my business. Okay. So I'm just, once again, totally transparent session today. So I'm breaking it down. So there was a point where I wasn't clear on my values, right? And so because I wasn't clear on my values, I couldn't share my values. Okay. And how that showed up in my business is that, I would have the opportunities to work with clients, collaborate with others. And those experiences turned out to be very difficult and challenging experiences. And I know if you're one of my superstars, you've probably heard me talk about, the time that I lost 5 clients in 1 month. Okay. Very, very hard lesson. Okay. But one of the things that came out from that experience, right, was the value alignment piece. So I had to get very clear on my values. So what are the things that I hold dear? Okay. What are some of the things that absolutely is Taria? So when you work with me, these are the things that that you are going to get, right? People call them non-negotiables. Okay. So your values. And then you know what? once I got clear on my value myself, and I started to communicate my value or values, what started to happen is that I started to attract more people who valued the same things. And so we became aligned in values, okay? And now I want everyone to get this, and this is why this is so important, okay? When you have people in your space and you're in a value and you have that value alignment, okay? It doesn't it doesn't seem like work, okay? Is one of the biggest shifts that occurred for me when I work with those people that we are in alignment. Then it's a joy to show up and serve. And I talk about it all the time, right? We all want to have a business that's filled, with clients that we know that we're called to serve, and we enjoy serving. Okay, so that's the first thing that we want to talk about or think about when it comes to the factor. The second thing that I want to break down today is the knowing part of the equation. Okay, so what does it mean for your audience, right, to really get to know you? Or are we giving our audience sometimes the best opportunity to know us, okay? And when I take a look at the no factor in the equation, the simplest way for me to break this down is like people must get you, okay? So how many of you feel that your audience gets you? Right? I feel like my superstars get me. I feel that my clients get me. Okay. So, how many of you feel like your clients get you? And I see that Suzanne is out there. Suzanne is saying your GPS, right? Your guiding principles for success. Okay. Value alignment is critical for success on both parties. Absolutely, Anila. Okay. So, how many of you feel that your audience gets you? Okay. And what does it take for your audience to really get you? Okay. And this is what I'm talking about, right? And this is one of the learns that I had. It's a little bit more, actually, it's a lot more, right? So, how do we build that brand recognition? So, brand recognition isn't just about your name, it isn't just about your logo, right? But it's also giving your audience, right, and the clients to know exactly who you are, okay? And what are some of the things that you want, okay? And what this does, it opens up the door to have stronger relationships, okay? Now, one of the things that I want to talk about here on social media is how people look at social media. And so one of the things that I like to say is that social media is a serving tool and not a selling tool. Okay. So we've been taught, because of the sheer numbers of people that are on social media, when we take a look at platforms like Facebook, we take a look at platforms like Instagram, right? That it's a place for us to come out and hawk our wares. And because there are masses of people on social media, that we just promote our products and our services all the time. And so I want everyone, to step back and really think about this, right? And lead on social media with the heart of service first, okay? So how do you show up to serve? Okay. And it's one of the craziest things, but also the beautiful, one of the most beautiful things. Okay. So a lot of times I hear people say that social media doesn't work. Okay. um, I can't see a return on investment on my social media efforts, whether it's time, whether it's money, whether it's other resources that you put in to your business, in the way of social media. Okay. So the question becomes, when I hear that, okay, how are you going into it? Okay. So are you going into it with the opportunity, or leading with the opportunity to serve. And once I started to make that shift, in my business as well, some beautiful things, started to happen. Okay. Not only am I able to get sales and generate clients from social media, I'm also able to build relationships, okay, nurture relationships, collaborate more, okay. And these things are the catalyst, to build a beautiful business, okay. So once again, the knowing factor, right? So how well do you give your audience the opportunity to know who you are? Okay. And then we're going to move in. Let me check my comments before we move on to the trust part. Okay. And so Maria is saying your personality is a reflection of your values. Maria, I could not agree with you more, right? Because that's what, we do, right? We live our values. And once you start to, live your values, it shows up in your personality. The things that you value shows up in everything that you do. Okay. And Maria is also saying, show up for the problem, show up where people don't want, show up for the problem, show up where people don't want to be, know how to be, or have time to be. I'm not sure if I'm reading that one right, Maria. Okay, so I'm gonna come back to that. So actually, what are you saying? I'm gonna come back to that. So social media is a long-term strategy and is the key to give your audience a chance to get to know your business better. Raouf, I could not have said that any better. Okay, and so like I said, one of the things that I've learned on the journey, I've been in this space, for quite some time, and I remember back in the day, like I wanted to be an internet marketer, right? And one of those internet marketers, back in the day when you had the the $7 product or the $47 product, and you could just literally spend $100 on Facebook ads, and then you're instantly rich, right? And I learned, like it's so much more than that, and it is a long-term strategy. And that's why I do talk about this. That's why I talk about the real strategies for social media. So social media isn't a one and done. It isn't something that you turn to and you look to because you are promoting like a campaign or whatever. Okay, social media should be an ongoing part, of your marketing strategy. Okay, so thank you for that share, Raouf. Okay, all right. So trust. Okay, so who can tell me how do you build trust in the marketplace? Okay, any ideas around how you build trust in the marketplace? And the trust is a big one. So I see that Forrest is saying, after your comment, tell Taria it is you by typing your name. Okay, I don't know how to be a surgeon, so I pay someone who does. I don't have time to wash my car, so I pay someone who does. I don't want to cut my lawn, so I pay someone that does. Okay, and so far as if that's you, let me know if that's you. So doing what you say, what you will do, and when you promise to do it. So Peg, that's a great definition of trust. Okay, but how do you show trust into the marketplace? How does it show up into the marketplace? So trust is a number one factor in any successful relationship, whether personal or professional, right? And so, Anila, I could not agree with you more. Okay. And so, yes, how does trust show up in the marketplace? So, here's where social media gets really good. Okay. And everyone should get excited about this part. So, how do you show trust? Okay, or how do you exhibit trust? And number one, social media is a great place for you to show social proof. Okay, so social proof. So are you giving, other people who are interested in working with you, the opportunity to feel trust by sharing social proof. Okay. And so do you share testimonies? Okay. So how many of you share testimonies? Okay. And how many of you, even like when you do things like this, like Facebook Live videos, right? You have your clients on there, you have people that you work with, and they come in and they provide social proof for you. Okay. So it's really a big thing. Okay. And so if you have, whenever you have the opportunity to do that, you want to make sure that you're doing that because people are looking. Okay. And they have questions and they ask, should I work with this person? I really want to know what that experience is like working with that person, okay, or working or engaging with this company. So how well do you give yourself the opportunity or your business the opportunity to show social proof? Okay. The second thing that I'm going to talk about is the big learn. Share stories, be transparent. Okay. And so one of the things that I love in the shift, okay, that I realized that I also had to make as well was, I wanted to show up like perfect. Okay. And how many of you could identify, like, when you go through that challenge or you go through that thing that's tough, you kind of go into hiding. Okay. So you go into hiding and then you don't come out of hiding, until, that thing is solved or you figured it out. Okay. And that used to be the way that, I showed up. Like, I'm not going to show up unless I look perfect or unless I know that I figured everything out. And I'm here to share with you, like, really and truly, that's not what people want. Okay. People want the opportunity, for you to be transparent. Let them know and see who you are. And so one of the things that I talk about, and it's not as bad as I thought it was going to be, guys. Okay. One of the things that I talk about all my challenges as well, because once again, I'm on the journey too. Okay. So I talk about the challenges, and not so much that, I just talk about challenges, but I'm able to share the things that I have learned. Okay. And I found that it's in those moments when I'm authentic and those moments when I'm transparent, I'm able to build more trust. I'm able to build a deeper connection, not only with my audience, with my superstars, but also with my clients as well. Okay. Yes, show up with flaws too. Okay, show up not being perfect. So a lot of us are waiting until we're perfect before we show up. I can't tell you how many conversations that I have, okay, where people are holding back from showing up like they know they're called to show up in the social media space, okay, because they got a lot of stuff going on, okay, and they figure because this aspect of my business, isn't quite perfect as yet, or I haven't done this as yet, I'm not going to show up and I'm going to wait until perfection happens. Well, I'm here to share with you, perfection never happens. Okay. And I say this all the time. It's not about being perfect. It's about striving for excellence. And there's a difference. Okay. And my definition of excellence is you do your best each day. Okay, so every day, at the end of the day, when you do that check and you say, hey, did I do my best today? And if you could answer the question and the answer to the question is yes, great job. And then tomorrow is the opportunity for you to make your best better. Okay, so that's the definition of excellence. Okay, so totally different conversation than being in the perfection conversation. The perfection conversation is a failing conversation, I'm going to tell you, right? So I'm saying Forrest says, do your best or nothing at all. Forrest, strive to be your best every single day. And then the goal for the next day, right, is to make your best better. Okay. And so Anila is saying, I admire your transparency. It makes me trust you and wish to work with you. Yes, Anila, that's what it's all about, right? People really want, to be able to work with people that they like, know, and trust. And the way that we build that like, know, and trust factor is to show up as our transparent and our authentic self. Okay. All right. And so this leads me to the second question. I know I spent some time, developing the like, know, or breaking down the like, know, and trust factor, because the like, know, and trust factor is the foundation. Okay. And so one of the biggest questions that I get, or also big question, I should say, there's a lot of big questions I get all the time. So another big question I get is, oh my gosh, Taria, what type of content should I be creating? So once again, when it comes to social media, there's a whole bunch of stuff that we can do. Okay, we could write blog posts, we could write newsletters, we could do videos, whether it's pre-recorded videos, we could do live videos, we could do webinars, we could do Instagram reels, and the list, right? Written posts, the list can go on. Okay, so what type of content should you be creating? So the first thing that I'm going to say when it comes to that is create the content that your audience needs from you. Okay, so that's the first thing. So do you know what is it that your audience absolutely need from you? Okay, and this goes into the social listening. How well do we do social listening? What are the spaces that we are in that allow us to show up and serve? Now, this is another big one. Okay, so how many of you out there, have a community, an online community, whether your online community is on Facebook or your online community is on LinkedIn, you have a community on Instagram, right? So, or on your website, there are many places that you could have an online community. Okay. And so or if you don't have an online community, how well do you participate in the other communities that you are in? Okay. And so I noticed over the past 3-4 years or so, there's been a big surge in Facebook groups, right? And I'm going to talk about Facebook because that's where I spend the majority of my time. Okay. So Facebook groups. And one of the things that I hear all the time is that, oh my gosh, I'm a member of so many groups. Okay. And I don't get any value from the groups, or sometimes groups are a waste of my time, right? Because there's just so much going on inside of the group. And one of the things that I'm going to challenge every one of you to start to think about is, how do you operate in the groups that you are in? So do you show up, in the group as someone who is like a taker, right? Or are you showing up inside of the group as a giver? Okay, so the groups that you belong to and the ones that you hold very dear to you, how do you show up to serve? Okay, and like I said, when we take a look at showing up and serving, it's not dropping, the link, to, your products and services, right? Like, that's spammy. So how do you contribute on a regular and consistent basis in the communities that you're in? How well are you doing social listening? Okay. And then you find when you do the social listening and you show up to serve, it guides the content that you should be creating. Okay. Now, also people ask me this, like, okay, Taria, I get it. So should that content be video? Should it be written articles? Yeah, it's so many different things. Okay. Number one, take a look at the type of content that your audience likes to consume, and then also find that balance of the type of content that you like to produce. Okay. And those are the technical things. So for those of you who would like to have a conversation about that, we could talk about that online. I'll tell you how when we get ready to wrap up. Okay. But first, show up to serve and show up to serve in your online communities. Okay. And then the last thing that I'm just going to touch on before we wrap it up and we close it out today is the biggest misconception about influence that people have in the marketplace. So I'm just going to start this one off by saying that I do consider each one of you, my superstars, as an influencer in the marketplace. Okay. We all have the ability to make an impact and inspire others to action. And all it takes is for us to show up. Okay. And so a lot of times when people think about influence and they think about, influencers, the tendency is to believe that influencers are, the only the people, who show up, with the hot marketing gadgets, the branding, that's off the change, the bling, the whistles, and everything. Okay. And that's not influence. Like I said, influence is the ability, right, to inspire others to action, the ability to shift the thinking, right, of people. How well do you help people shift, okay, or see things from a different viewpoint? That's influence. And a lot of times for us, we're still hiding out. Okay, we're still hiding out and we're not showing up the way that we're called to show up. Okay, and so that's my charge for each of my superstars that are on this call today. Okay, all right, and so any questions? I'm just going to go ahead and I'm just going to do a brief recap before we get ready to close it out today. Okay. And so, once again, we're talking about how to increase your influence into the marketplace. Okay. And I'm going to share with you one strategy that we all could start to implement. And if you're already doing it, you could think of doing it better. Okay. So the first thing, when it comes to creating influence in the marketplace, you want to make sure that you are building the like, know, and trust factor. Okay. So how well are you giving your audience the opportunity to like, know, and trust you? Okay. And it all shows up in your content. Okay. And then the second thing that I want to share is what type of content should you be creating into the marketplace? And it's the type of content that serves your audience best. Okay. So do you know exactly what is it, that your audience wants and needs? What are their pain points? What are the transformation that they desire to reach in either in their life and in their business? Okay. And then are you sharing things that would allow them or lead them to that transformation? So always make sure that within your content you show up to serve. Okay. And then lastly, the biggest misconception is like, oh my gosh, you have to have all of these bells, whistles, all of the bling to be seen as an influencer into the marketplace. And I'm just going to say, no, you do not. Okay. We all have the ability to make an impact and inspire others to action. And that's what influence is all about. And we just have to show up and serve. Okay. And so for those of you who would like to go a little bit deeper, in this conversation, I'm going to offer the opportunity for you to have a 30-minute discovery call with myself. Okay. And so I think I'm going to put my banner, if I could find my banner, where you could go ahead and schedule a 30-minute discovery call. Okay. So, yep, the ticker should be going across the screen. Okay. And like I said, if you have any questions on how, Taria, I've heard what you said. It all sounds good, but I still need a way to do it, or I still need a strategy on how to do it. Let's talk about it. Okay. So you can schedule a complimentary discovery call by going to bit.ly/SMS discovery. Okay. And so the number one strategy that I'm going to leave you with, okay, when it comes to social media, is to take a look at the places that you show up. So, do you have an online community, or do you participate in online communities, and how well are you serving in those online communities? Okay, so make sure that when you are in online communities, you show up as a giver and you don't show up, as a taker. Okay, so what are you focused on contributing in the communities that you are a part of? Okay, and let me just make sure. Anila is saying, grateful for your serving, sharing, and shining today, as always. Thank you, Anila, so much for that. And influence makes so much more the way you share as it is possible applies to social media. Yes, so that's what, like I said, once again, that's what influence is all about. Okay, being able to show up and being able to serve. And I'm just making sure that I am not missing any questions. And I see that Deborah Jones is saying, that's my hardest challenge, wanting to be perfect. That has been the reason to avoid moving forward in my business. Thanks for these tips. So, Deborah, I'm going to tell you that has been one of my biggest challenges too. Okay, is like showing up, perfect, right? You don't want people to see the knocks, the bumps, the bruises. And oh my gosh, there's so many things that when we take a look at, ourselves, we could find that's imperfect. Right? And so if you're waiting for perfection to show up, then my dear, we will probably never show up. Right? So thank you. I'm glad that you received value, from today's conversation. And like I said, people don't want perfection. Your audience doesn't want perfection. Your clients they don't want perfection. What they want is the real Deborah. Okay, so thank you, Deborah, for sharing that insight with me today. Okay, and someone is saying, Maria is saying, I love referrals as well. Others telling others of your good works, right? So, yes, Maria, referrals are a great source of social proof. And let me just share this before we end this call today, right? So, this has been my experience, with social media. So, someone makes a referral to you, right? So you have a client, you're doing an awesome job, right, with your client, and your client makes a referral. Okay. What I've found a lot of times, and this is why social media is so important and why it's so important for us to show up on social media. People will go and check us out. Okay, so how many of you know that people check you out on social media before they let you know that they're checking you out? So my question always becomes, what are they going to see when they look at your social profiles? Okay, and if your social profiles are empty, they can't see, once again, social proof, they can't see connection, they can't see clearly the things that you value, right? Because all of those things come through in your content, then it's just going to be harder, for that referral to take. So people, do research, on referrals as well. Okay, and so thank you so much for sharing that as well, Maria. Okay. All right. And I think I've got all of the questions and comments today. So my superstars, I want to thank each and every one of you for showing up for this episode of Social Media Saturdays, Real Strategies to Fuel Your Business. Okay. And so if you have not yet joined our community, you could head on over to Serve, Share, and Shine, Serve, Share, Shine, the Givers community. Knock on the door and I'll let you in. We're happy to have you. And this is the place where you can continue the conversation during the week. So you don't have to wait until Saturdays, right? To show up and serve. Okay. So you could hop on over into a community. Okay. And we could stay in conversation for the week. Okay. During the week. Also, I am also on Instagram, and so you could find me on Instagram at Taria Hodge, and then you could also find me on YouTube, Social Media Saturdays, and I'm also on LinkedIn as well as Taria Hodge. Okay, and so last announcement before we go, and I'm also going to put the ticker up on the screen. Thank you so much, superstars, those of you who joined us on Thursday for our Magnetize and Monetize the Virtual Stage webinar. Okay. And so if you are out there and you've missed the webinar and you want to have the opportunity to join the webinar, we've made a commitment to do the webinar twice a month. Okay. And so we do the webinar now the first Thursday of the month, 12 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, and the third Saturday of the month, which is coming up April 17th at 12 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Okay. And this webinar is for you. Okay, if you know that you are ready to conquer the virtual stage, a lot of shifts has happened in the past year. We're in a virtual environment now, and people are asking, like, how can I, show up powerfully in the virtual stage, in the virtual space? Okay, and then also, if you are, saying, how do I create more influence? How do I create more impact? And how do I inspire others to action? Okay, then this is the webinar for you. Okay, and so you could see it going across on the ticker. So if you would like to join us on the 17th, you could do that as well. And I do believe the description is also in the information is also in the description of the videos. Okay. All right. So I think that's as far as it's saying, show up and show out. And then Peg is saying, thank you, Taria. Always time well spent on a Saturday. Thank you so much, Peg, my superstar, for showing up and making social media Saturdays exactly what it is today. So without any further ado, everyone, have a blessed weekend. Enjoy the special weekend. Spend time with your family. Do the things that you love. And I will see you next time. Bye-bye.